All right, what's up, guys? It's Music Universal Language Podcast. This is the 29th episode, and today I got awesome guests from Hawaii, as I should pronounce it right. Welcome to the podcast, Tiana, Malone, Jennings. What's up? How you doing?
Hello, I'm doing awesome.
Good to have you on. Thanks for being on.
Thank you so much for having me, Jacob.
Totally. It's been a while. We're just, reminiscing when we actually first met and whatnot, and apparently I didn't remember the first time we met, but 2014 Sebastopol, I believe was it like an Earth Day thing? Or was it a summer thing?
It was in the summer because we always come out in the summer, so it was probably in June or July, I want to say. And I know it was like an open market at this really cute community place where they had indoor shops and cafes and outdoor pop-up tent canopy things.
And there's like
vendors.
the grass field there, and
we were in front of a big grass field, and we played right after you. I had Hawk Devi, my violinist, and Eva Gonzalez from Pretty Thieves at that moment. Was an amazing pianist, singer-songwriter.
I feel like I know that name now. Okay, now these are her name. Okay.
Yeah, you probably are on social media with her too, and she's, she's continued on with her musical career since 2014. She's down in LA and still writing songs and kicking ass.
And it's kind of a common thing from people from the Big Island to go to like Northern Cali or Cali in general. Like, well, I know people from Cali always go there, like a second home or vacation, whatnot.
Yep, that's true.
Is that kind of like going up and down the coast? Was that like the most frequent, or because you guys would go up to Oregon and whatnot? Or
we went almost to Canada. We went to Bellingham, Washington that year, and then we got down as far south as Fresno, California.
Okay, yeah, that's pretty far down there. That's like pretty south central in a sense.
Yeah, pretty far. So that's kind of our run. And we've been breaking into the Midwest. I only did one festival called Cornstalk there. I've been invited to a few more festivals, but not been able to really make it out there. I don't have a ton of connections out there. Where is Wisconsin?
That's where I'm from originally.
Really?
Cornstalk? Is that where you did it?
Yeah.
That's crazy. I'm pretty sure I know where that is. What?
Really?
Yeah, I'm from like southern Wisconsin. Yeah, like border Illinois.
Oh my gosh, we're so connected, like in interesting ways.
If and when you go back there, you should. Yeah, I could definitely give you some context for sure.
Awesome. I'm definitely going back. I'm still good, close contacts with the family, the Scott family that runs Cornstalk, and it's the cutest little farm community. And I guess you guys have tornadoes out there, so there's like the house is like sort of way underground, and like the grass grows over the house, and it's sort of like a hobbit hole. It's so interesting. You drive in one side and there's like the garage and the barn, and then you go in. If you came around the other side though, there'd be like this, it looked like a hobbit hole. It was the cutest thing ever.
So it's like hidden at the same time.
Yeah. And
that's
that
cool.
Night we all played, there was like a heat lightning storm, which was like lightning all around like every second. I'd never experienced
like orange.
That.
Yeah. See, that's more common. Tornadoes are a little more like Iowa, Kansas, but we get them.
Okay.
Midwest in general.
Boom, 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 boom. We're like, whoa, 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 holy cow. It was crazy. I was like, should we be freaked out right now?
No.
Like, this is normal.
Just hide under the grass, you're all good. All right,
like and they see the lava, and they see this like plume of smoke coming out of Pahoa, and they're driving towards the plume of smoke, and they're like, should we be freaked out right now? No, it's just the lava.
Yeah, it's the same thing. Cool. Everyone's got their own natural disasters in their local area.
Yep, natural wonders for sure.
Ours would be ice storms. I don't know.
Oh my gosh.
All right. Well, let's rewind a little. Let's go as far back as you feel like. When did you actually start playing music? Has it been a whole lot?
Like as a band, or start just as an individual?
Yeah. Were you raised with it? Were you what instrument? You started ukulele first?
No, that's my newest instrument. Because because I started with a piano. My parents were in bands, and when I was probably 5 years old, I learned like a little bit on the piano, a couple songs, like a couple songs on the guitar, and a couple like riffs on the bass guitar. And then my cousins and I would sing harmony. With like a family would get together and have dinner, talk story, and always jams.
Hell yeah.
And so
Awesome.
so all the moms and dads would be singing the melodies, and all the kids, cousins, we'd all be singing the harmonies. And
High
that's what.
range. Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool.
And I first learned about harmonies and the different, like, kind of how to hear the harmonies. I learned how to hear them before I learned the music theory behind it.
Right.
So,
which probably came natural because when you relearn it, it's like, this is already in my head, but
yeah. When you go to
That's
school,
cool.
you're like, oh, I know what that is.
Right.
But yeah, I kind of did in and out. And then when I was in middle school, my friends wanted me to join choir. And I was like, oh, choir has like a bad reputation. All the dorks, join it, whatever.
Yeah.
Stupid school stuff right back in the day. And so I was like, I don't know. And she goes, well, I'll make you a bet. Like, and I don't remember, like somebody was trying to be like, what was the bet? Because I couldn't remember for the longest time. But the bet was like, she was going to jump into the lake with all her clothes on. And I was like, no, you're not. She's like, yeah, I'm going to do it. And I was like, no, you're not. And she goes, I'll bet you if I jump into the lake with all my clothes on, then you got to join chorus. And I was like, all right.
What? Yes, you did.
The thing 12-year-olds, 13-year-olds think of, So she did. She jumped in the lake with all her clothes. Of course, back then, nobody got the cell phone in the pocket. So,
Right. Got her down wet.
So she did, and I joined chorus, and the teacher was just this crazy, intense person that was always making you sing solos into the whole chorus.
What?
And
each person?
Yeah.
You get a solo. You get a solo.
Yeah, you would walk into class, and as you're walking into class, you would get handed a yellow sheet, a little note card. And you wouldn't know that if you got the yellow note card, you had to sing a solo, or if you didn't get the yellow note card, you had to sing a solo. Because he would mix it up, because people would be like, I'm just scared to sing a solo. Here, you sing a solo for me. And so people would switch off and on,
Right.
And so it was so funny. Like the first day, everybody got the yellow card, had to sing. Second day, everybody who didn't get the yellow card had to sing a solo. And then people were like, no way, I just traded mine. Oh, crap. And
Wait. So
but his theory was...
Okay, sorry.
It's all right. His theory was singing and speaking in front of your peers, and public speaking is like one of the biggest fears of all time. So if you get over that in high school, you conquer one of the biggest fears in all time. Like, you're pretty free, because
confidence booster and freedom.
Yeah. And so he had us, like, there was 103 people in choir.
Holy.
I know, right? We had half the football team. And we were
all the bass and
Totally. We were 1/5 of the school, because it was kind of a small school at the time. And so when we did like plays and stuff, like we did West Side Story, we had such a like bass section, and we had enough guys to make up the gangs and stuff, and it was just really cool. But so he was intense, and I kind of learned that I like that. And in my astrology, I have a little fire in me, so that I thrive on the challenge of things, when you're being challenged,
Right.
So if you talk back to him in class, you got to sing a solo, and he'd be like, sing measures 40 through to 53, like stand up right now, And if the guys were talking, he'd be like, the whole back row of basses, stand up and sing these measures. And so it was intense.
Right.
But it forced you to focus. It really trained you to focus, and really trained you for confidence, and how not to crap your pants singing in front of people.
Exactly. Well, and that's important, especially when you're young, and I guess there's certain people are always like naturally more outspoken, but some people need something. Most people need something to be able
Yeah.
to communicate, I
Yeah.
guess, in a open way or to strangers and whatnot. But yeah, so you guys, so you did do a lot of not solos, like actually singing as a choir. And
Yeah.
I guess that's almost relative to his point too. If you only did that, you can almost hide within all the other voices, right?
Yep. Yeah,
So
you
it's
can.
like, that's cool. So at one point, did every person get a solo? All 104 or five?
Yes, he usually goes through like by, the first month or two of school, he's like, all right, who hasn't sang a solo yet? And if you haven't,
Mhm.
or if he, can call you out, then he's like, all right, you stand up and sing one, you stand up and sing one. And he'd always be pushing singing solos in front of everybody. And you had to walk down in front of all 103 people and turn around and face them and sing your solo to
Damn.
103 people.
Wow.
So it was pretty
Yes.
like, whew.
Whoa, what's this guy's name? Do you remember his name?
James, well, he was married at the time, and he added his wife's name, so his name was James Karch Taylor. But I know I've heard since then he's gotten a divorce, so I think his name is James Taylor, which is kind of funny because there's already a famous James Taylor.
I was
Right?
gonna say his name James Karch, but yeah, that's funny.
James Taylor. Yeah.
Wow, James Taylor is your choir teacher.
He's still around and he's still teaching. I think this was in Oregon. I moved around a lot as a kid, and I think I went
Okay.
to in Oregon, and so he's still teaching somewhere in Oregon.
That's cool. So did you feel like, obviously growing up with the family singing that you almost had an advantage? Or is that even why your friend wanted you to join so bad? Like you could sing.
She had no idea. She
Oh,
had no idea.
just wanted a
It's like,
friend to join
just
her.
wanted, yeah.
Right.
And then later, like after we graduated, and I was visiting my hometown, I ran into her, and I just gotten done with like a show, so I was like all decked out, and I looked all like professional, and she was like, "Wow, Tiana, is that you?" And I was like, "Wow, hi. Hey, yeah, I'm still doing music, also thanks to you. So thank you." And
Oh yeah. That's awesome.
good job.
Well, but yeah, so did you like when he'd make you do a solo, did you almost feel like you had something, from the past that, or was it relearning again?
Maybe not the first 100 solos.
Well, I guess
'Cause
even like you said, you're singing with family more. It's not, they're
yeah,
not putting you on the spot. Like, oh, you take
yeah.
this verse or whatever. Yeah.
It was really, and I'm naturally a shy person. So I wouldn't naturally, like when people, even now today, when people are like, if anybody is a singer out there and you feeling it, come on and step up and sing a solo. I'm always like, oh, probably not.
Well, I do remember you got on stage at Jasper's, and I was actually scared to get up there, and you got up there. Do you remember that?
Jasper's, what was Jasper's?
So we did the Hot Monk open mic, and then we walked across to the alley, and they were doing the jam. It was the sessions. It's the
Okay.
at Jazz. It's right across the street from Hot Monk in Sebastopol, and you
Okay.
got up there.
Well, especially if I'm on tour, then I'm like,
yeah.
it's my job to be on stage. I'm on tour. I'm officially on the job. So
Yeah.
I feel like I have more confidence. Like if I know I'm scheduled to play somewhere at some time, then I like am able to mentally compose myself and be like, all right, here it is. And I'm always like, I always call my ancestor spirit guides with me because I'm always like, I'm just scared. Ancestors, help me out here. And then they're there and we all do it together. And
Right on.
so, but, I mean, I feel like if I didn't have my ancestors have my back, then I wouldn't be as far in my musical career. I know that.
I don't know. That's a blessing. And then it's like you almost like, so you save it for the stage because naturally you're more chill or not as
Yeah.
ambitious, what have you. But I think,
Yeah.
a lot of musicians are like that. The music, lets them express themselves in ways that they want to be able to.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. The music is the way of letting it out, I feel like.
It's like what I'm trying to say, but I could never say it in words or what have you. All right. So you continued choir through high school, or?
I did. I continued choir through high school. I eventually got the confidence to audition for solos. And there was one time my teacher was like, you need to audition for this solo. So when I call for auditions, be ready. And I was like, okay. And I was like, what does that mean? Like, he thinks that my voice would fit the solo. And I had like, mentally my mind was racing, like, what does that mean? Like, am I actually good enough? Does he think like I can sing? Like, oh my God, like, I'm so much more nervous now because he expects something out of me.
Right.
So
maybe in mind.
but I did, and I noticed that like I just had this soulful style that I just was able to. It was almost, I don't know, maybe a little R&B, but like soulful. And so the song, my voice like definitely fit the song that he was talking about, and that was probably the first time I realized that, okay, so voices can have a certain quality to them that fit certain genres more than others. Like, I wouldn't be singing Irish river dance music with my voice. Like, that
Right.
just, it wouldn't naturally fit there. So I had to find where I had a fit, and I didn't know that before.
What was the song?
It was Miss the Saturday Dance, a jazz song.
Okay.
You know that old Miss the Saturday Dance, do birthday crowded the floor. Remember that one?
Sounds just like
It's an old Dixieland jazz song, and
right on.
that I could swing it a little bit more with jazz. Like, I enjoyed it, and I naturally was able to like groove and dance into the beat and feel it. Quote, feel it.
Right. Well, that's there's a lot of great classic jazz like that with great female vocalists. So that's cool that he had you like in mind for it, you know, because it's like I could see her singing this or whatnot.
Yeah. So,
well, were you like into more the modern thing of the day, and like you said, more R&B, or just?
I guess I just really was listening to the radio. When I was in high school, I was kind of a little crazy in high school because I was doing so much more school than everybody else. I was like an overachiever. So I had like jazz choir before school started at 7 a.m. My school day started. And then everybody got like a break period that was like an hour and a half just so they could do their homework. It was just like this break period. But I chose for another musical class during that period. So it was like a small band ensemble, and then I was always in plays, and then I was in martial arts. I was in Taekwondo, and so like my day started. I was at school at 7 o'clock. I was done school by like 4 or sometimes 5, and then I would rush over to my martial arts class that started probably like 5:30 or 6, and then I would get home, late.
12-hour day. Yeah.
The whole day. I remember my mom, actually probably my junior and senior year, my mom would be actually begging me to skip school so that I could hang out with the family because they never saw me.
Oh,
it was really hilarious. I'd be like, no, Mom, I have to go to school today. Like, we're doing something important in music, or I have play practice after, and I've got to go to school today, Mom. And she'd be like, when can you skip school? I just
like I'm a bad kid. Skip school.
Like, how is this a conversation right now?
That's crazy. That's cool though. And it was all kind of like, things were, well, besides I guess Taekwondo and whatnot, but it was like music related stuff you were overachieving in mainly.
Yeah.
That's
I was just really passionate, and I really had a drive. Like, I guess in my astrology, I have a driving self in me. So I'm really like passionate and like persevere to my goals, and I just never stop.
You gotta follow through.
Follow through.
Yeah. Okay. You've mentioned the astrology twice. So what is your sign now?
Well, I'm born the last day of Pisces, and the next day is Aries. So I'm on the cusp of water and fire.
Right on.
And then my sign is a Sagittarius. So they say your moon sign is really how your inner being is, and I guess Sagittarius are really driven.
Yeah.
And my friend who told me this said, basically, Sagittarius, when they accomplish their goal, they have a giant broadsword that they go, this is my goal.
Yeah, for sure.
And I was like, that's kind of me. Like, but I'm a water sign primarily, so I'm pretty laid back. I love to be chill and laid back, but I'm very passionate and driven. So actually, people have commented that they love when I am a stage manager for their festivals, because I get the bands on stage on time with aloha.
Right. With not the the dickhead promoter or what have you.
Right. We've all had different kinds of stage managers.
That's funny. Yeah, I'm a Pisces, and then Allegra's a Sagittarius, so that's making some sense. Fire and water too.
Yeah.
But you're right on the cusp, so that's interesting. I usually get along with Aries. I usually get along with most fire signs, so kind of opposite thing going there or whatnot.
Nice.
I'm
And I
smack
hear
dab in
as
the middle. I'm Pisces all day.
no wonder you're so creative
I suppose.
and play so many instruments.
Right. Yes, it's an obsession. That's all it comes down to. Yeah, it's like you were just saying. It's just something like you have to follow through, and I guess you create it in your own mind. Like, this is what I must do. I'm not trying to prove anything to anybody but myself.
It's your musical medicine.
Even though I can never satisfy myself. In that sense, I just keep trying to accomplish.
That's something I've been really trying to do the last 2 years, because I'm so like that too. Like, you're always go. The last 2 years I've been really going, okay, I have completed a tour. Let's just revel in this moment for a while. Right. I have completed a big concert that I've been planning for a long time. Let's just like take a moment in gratitude and be in peace and in stillness in this moment. Because otherwise you're just like, go. What's the next thing? For a musician, you're like, what's the next photo shoot? What's the next music video? What's the next blah, blah, blah. Next song, recording, rehearsal.
You got to be ahead all the time. It's always pre-planning. And then, and what I realize is like when you take those breaks, that's when everything gets better when you get back to it.
Yeah.
Because like the music is better, I feel like. It's just like you have to chill out. You're trying to chase this thing.
Yeah. Rest. Who knew?
Well, that's, actually right before all this, quarantine madness, I was like almost getting like burnt out on like kind of the, the shitty gigs, the ones don't pay good and yada yada. But now it's like having all this time off. I've just been kind of like getting back to the art and the creative stuff, and it feels good, too. I mean, I'm fortunate that I'm not broke or whatever, but
yes. But I'm fortunate that we're able to grow a lot of food and catch our own water, and we live off grid, and we have a composting toilet. We can make our own dirt. We're so into recycling. We make our own dirt.
Yeah. Wait, and so off grid, you got like solar or wind? Or?
Yeah, solar power, water catchment. So it's nice. I mean, the only bills we have are like our internet, the landline, our cell phone bills, car insurance.
Right.
And we still have a few propane items that we haven't converted over to more cleaner living, but so a little bit of propane. I guess in gas in your car for wherever you want to go.
Right.
We're still on gas.
Which I would imagine you're driving slightly less, in the last few months, which
definitely.
I definitely have. So it's kind of nice. And I don't know.
Yeah.
You get burnt out of being in the car half the time. So well, and the laws are pretty lax there, like off grid, I imagine.
Yes, well, Big Island is pretty special because since we have so many active volcanoes here, there's not a lot of people that can brave living here. And so we don't have a big, huge population. And we were like the last island to be really populated other than Ni'ihau. Nobody is allowed to go to Ni'ihau unless you have permission and you're from, Ni'ihau.
Oh, really?
There.
Wow.
Yeah.
So you guys are right the last before them, basically. And
no, they're the farthest island from us. We're the farthest south island.
Okay.
The Big Island is the farthest south. So things are different here. I mean, people kind of joke sometimes about, it's almost a third world country. Well, I mean, I guess you can kind of joke about that, but like 30 years ago, there literally was like half or maybe even 2/3 less population here. So there's not a lot of stoplights. There's not a lot of things that would force us to have more laws as far as that goes. Because we do have laws about you're not supposed to live in an unpermitted cabin. But also, the Hawaiians know that this is the Hawaiians' way of living for generations back. And, we are an occupied kingdom here. I could go into that, but you could check that out.
I think I kind of have a little.
So yeah, there's websites to go check that out and research the long history of that. So basically, the authorities are lax here because it's my assumption that if they really cracked down on everybody that was living unpermitted or didn't have registration completely up to date on their car, things like that, there'd be a lot of disgruntled citizens because we didn't ask for the mainland style of living to come here,
Right.
and it's sort of just imposed on us. So people live off grid, and as long as you're not really in the main, I say city, actually, in the main town village on the island, then nobody says anything. Nobody goes and looks for it. Unless there's a complaint, unless you're really being messy about the way you're living, you're not malama ika aina, which is taking care of the land. If you're like emptying your rubbish, on the land, if you're doing things to the land that's obviously not pono, as we say here, that's not right for the land, then of course, then would be a complaint made, and then something would happen.
Well, I would imagine that happens pretty quick when you have outsiders coming in and trying to do something, not right.
Well, yeah. When outsiders come in, then there's things that happen. But I will also should say that that this particular part of the island, we don't rely so much on authorities because it's so rural out here. Like it takes, it's a half an hour where I'm at from the main town village. So, so we kind of take care of ourselves. Like, if we have a problem, we're calling our cousins, we're calling all the bradas, to come, because we know they can get there faster than authorities. We're still going to call authorities probably, but the authorities, you're lucky if they're going to get there in half an hour. Usually it's an hour, 2 hours. Sometimes they don't even come. A lot of times they don't even come if it's just like, noise complaint, or if it's something like kind of minor. A lot of times they won't even come.
Typical. So you guys have dirt roads and whatnot, and like
we have dirt roads. Yep.
Is that kind of why or is it just less developed in general? Rural.
It's just less developed in general. Like there's some places on this island that,
right?
Yeah. There's some places like up the mountain that like even ambulances don't come. Like if you call an ambulance and you're out so far that you're rural, the ambulance tells you have to meet us where the concrete starts.
Oh, damn.
Yeah.
Right.
So we learned.
You have like medicine people, I would imagine.
We have medicine people. Yes. We learn to rely on each other as a community.
Right.
Which I kind of think that's how it's supposed to be a little bit, right? We shouldn't.
Well, it's like you're just saying they imposed on you, so it probably was like that longer than it wasn't.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yes. What is it like? 1950 is when it was actually U.S. I can't even.
It was a little before then.
48 or something.
In the early 1900s. I am totally brain farting the day.
I thought it was like right. It was like official because it was like 48 for a while, and I don't know. It just seems it's recent enough. Is my point.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
In like to give you an idea of like Honolulu in the 1950s had like 3 hotels, and now has skyscrapers on the beach. It's like it's a mini New York City on the beach, like Waikiki is. It's kind of crazy.
What do you think happened in the last 30 years? Just
well, yeah, a lot of the money. I always joke about money.
The
movies, the money. A lot of people are buying land here because you can buy. International people can buy here, and then sometimes we have the problem where somebody's trying to buy a lot and they can't find the owner because the owner is really from some deep part of Mexico or Thailand or somewhere, and they can't even like find the owner because they live in such a rural place themselves that they don't have things like fax machines or something like that. So actually people have been prevented from buying land because they can't find the owner or because the owner can't, communicate with them in a
Right.
way. It's really
Huh.
funny. What you gonna
Crazy.
do? It's all divine flow.
Yeah, I mean, it's I've actually never been there, but obviously it's been obvious that a lot of people have blown it up in the last, I don't know, 20 years or so.
And, and I think I want to say about the whole connection between Northern California and Hawaii. The
Mm.
old stories go is when Lumeria was risen up out of the water, Hawaii was part of that, and so was Mount Shasta. They say.
Oh,
They
I
say
want
Mount
to know.
Shasta, Mauna Kea really are part of the same mountain range. It's just sunken after whatever pole shift that was. So the old
Yeah,
stories say.
damn, that's like a lot of fucking ocean. But
Yeah.
when you guys are like, what? It's like the route to Australia or whatever. If you're coming from here or from the West Coast, it's like on the.
Yeah.
I don't know.
We're like the most isolated civilization on the planet right now.
Aren't you the furthest away from everything in a sense, content-wise? Yeah, that's crazy.
Most isolated civilization.
And so, what's like the population on your island? Because you said yours is more.
I think it's only like 100,000 to 200,000, somewhere in that range.
Still, it's
And the
pretty
Big
big.
Island is pretty big because, just to give you a sense, all the other islands you can fit on top of the Big Island.
Oh no shit! But then like the Honolulu and the Maui, they're like super
Yep,
populated,
Kauai.
so they're
Yeah.
small.
I
That's
mean, the
crazy.
islands themselves, the land mass of the island, like you can take the whole island of Oahu and Maui and Molokai and all those, Li'ihau, all those things, put all the islands on top of the Big Island. That's how
Okay,
big Big Island is in relative to the other little islands.
so even if you are 200,000, it's spread out,
Yeah,
especially
super
compared to
small.
them. It's like people on top of each other on the
Yeah,
other islands, like in New York
yeah.
City, like you said.
We
That's
don't
crazy.
have skyscrapers like that.
It just seems so wrong to do that to a place. I don't know. That's another place. The cool thing about Vermont, they like work hard at staying underdeveloped as well. So like the
Oh,
biggest city,
nice.
the biggest city is 60,000, and it's like the only place that's actually a city. Most of it's small town, rural mountains. Probably the greenest place in the country, I would think. Small as shit too, but
Awesome.
anyways, where the hell were we? All right. Well, when did you start playing with bands and whatnot? Doing your original thing. Like, I gotta write my shit.
Let's see. Yeah, right. Well, I started playing with the bands in college, but we were still doing covers, and a lot of us were just sort of experimenting. We didn't do really hardly very many gigs. And then after that, my father passed away, so that took me out of college and into this life purpose questioning thing, like, what is life all about? Why are humans here on the planet in the first place? Did
Right?
God create a 40-hour work week?
Hell no.
Uh, Thou shalt work 40 hours every week
Right.
and pay taxes.
Overtime. Sometimes.
you know, so all these big questions, like, started to come out in me, and the only way I could the only way I could be comforted was when I made a statement, and I felt in my heart comfort. Like when I made a statement about, okay, my father passed away, but I can still see him and I can still talk to him if I get really good at certain kinds of meditation. And that felt really good.
Mm.
And I was like, all right, I'm going to go with that. Because at this point, I'd never talked about spirituality or religion in my life very much. I didn't have the answers.
Right.
And shortly after my father passed away, I moved to Hawaii because I just was like, let's just have a life experience. Because I'm Guamanian from Guam, and
Oh.
my family left Guam before I was born for better opportunity. But so many Guamanians left at the same time. There is a lot of islander culture. Like I grew up around all kinds of Guamanians in California. And we always, people spoke Chamorro language and pidgin, what we call pidgin, with a thick accent, and so I was raised around islanders, and so we came to Hawaii, and I said, let me just have a life experience here. And as soon as I got here, I felt connected. And what I learned was, the ancient Lemuria they talk about was a span of islands that was, Guam and further, and Hawaii and Fiji and all these and many other islands that are under the ocean. So actually, all these islands were related, at one point. And so, and all the islanders kind of feel that. We all kind of feel that we're kind of cousins, so to speak. So, and the cultures are very similar. Everybody 10 years older than you is auntie or uncle, regardless if they're really a cousin or if they're related at all.
If you know them and they're, and
if you know them. And everybody around your age is referred to as a cousin, cuz or something. And then everybody 10 years younger than you are auntie or uncle.
Right.
And then the other, right? So we're all Ohana. Like we recognize as a culture, many cultures recognize that we're all connected in some way. It's just a big human family.
And then the elders, I would imagine.
Right. They have another title, Kupuna, here in Hawaii. Guela and Guela on Guam. But it's all the same thing. Your elders, and respect your elders. And the elders were always the ones that were like the tribal leaders, so to speak, the tribal council, so to speak. And then we all have respect for the land. Like if you're going to build a house, before you build the house, you make an offering to the land and you say a prayer and you ask permission. If you're going to harvest your crops, or if you're going to pick coconuts from coconut tree on the beach, anything that you do, if you're going to go fishing even, you ask permission from the land or from the ocean or from the tree. So that was already there in Hawaii, and as it was in Guam. So I felt, this is like my cousin's culture. And I have Hawaiian family that we are married, intermarried, and things like that. So I said, I'm going to move to Hawaii, and we're just going to see how it goes. Got here, I felt connected. And then I just one thing happened after another. There's a lot of energy that's really strong here on the Big Island. And when you move here, the locals tell you that. They'll say, first of all, Princess Pele, the volcano goddess, she's going to clean out your closet. So just expect that if you move here, your spiritual closet, your emotional closet, whatever baggage you've got, you're going to be cleaned out. And you're going to go through what they call trial by fire.
All right.
And if you make it through, you can stay. And I've been here 16 years now. Whoa. And if you don't make it through, you go. You got to go. And I've seen so many people, I'm going to move to Hawaii. Yeah. And they don't do the spiritual work and that they need to do, and they can't stay. They end up leaving, moving back, whatever. A lot of people come back and forth. And I notice in these people that they grow every time. It seems like this is, and the elders will also tell you that Hawaii is a place that people go for a pilgrimage, like a religious experience, a spiritual experience. I think like people pilgrimage to Mecca, on the other side of the world. People have that same thing here, but they don't even know it.
Right.
But many times
it's like mandatory. Well, it's inevitable.
Yeah. And people, so many times when people go, I've been to Hawaii and I had the most amazing experience there. I connected with a fish or a turtle or the volcano or this plant, and they don't even know it, but their spirit guides were going, you're going to go to Hawaii and have a spiritual experience because it's time for you to have some awakenings.
Wow. That's awesome.
Yeah. So
wait. So how old were you when you're right out of college, basically, or you quit college? Early 20s?
I basically quit college. I was almost done too. I kind of wish I would have finished, but it's kind of like I took all of my music classes.
Oh, okay.
Except business of music, which is irrelevant today in today's music of business stuff now.
Yeah.
And I didn't do my senior recital. So those are the only two music things that I missed as far as getting my degree in music.
Damn.
So basically, I took all the classes. I got all the other stuff. So
You got the knowledge.
got all the stuffs I need, So
Well, it's just like you said, you had to go. It was like some intense stuff going on, and
yeah, and I just had to go, and so I went. And when we got here, it was my partner and I, who right now, I mean, at the time he was just my boyfriend, and we got to my parents' land, which was all jungle. It was just straight up jungle, ferns climbing the trees 10 to 15 feet up the trees. It was so thick. I'd never seen anything like that. And so we had a machete and a rake that my uncle had welded a really heavy plumbing pipe onto. So it was a really heavy rake.
hell yeah.
We could throw that thing up in the bush, yank all those ferns down, and cleared a trail and a spot big enough to have a tent with a machete and a metal rake.
That's awesome. And that's how it started.
That's how it started. And then from there, we built a little cabin. We had no power, so we just had to use a handsaw to cut all these boards and build a cabin. It was real homesteading.
That's
What
awesome.
way to get back to the land in such a real way,
Yeah, no kidding.
Uh,
Sleep good at night, working your ass off all day. Shit.
Yeah, and we got there and we had no jobs because we had money to like hold us over for a while. So for like 3 months, we just worked with the land, and it just felt so natural. It was so comfortable. Like, this is what humans do. We're not supposed to be like, thou shalt work 40 hours. Bullshit. It was like, you need to come to your land, grow food, connect with your land, build your house with your own hands. And just, that's what felt real to us.
Awesome.
And then at night we'd be jamming by campfire light or candlelight or whatever, and we'd be playing cards or just doing little things, and we'd go to bed pretty early because we had no power, and we'd get up early with the sun. And
Right. That's awesome. That's the circadian rhythm.
Yeah. So when I got to Hawaii, spirit guides were like, okay, you need to go back into music full force. So I was like, all right. So I didn't know what to do at first. I was just jamming, and my cousin here was like, hey, I go to this church. Do you want to go to church with me on Sunday? And at the time we were like, no, we don't do religion. Like, no. We don't do organized religion, no.
Right.
But she was like, she goes, well, it's really cool. It's a different church. And I didn't hear anything, but at the end she goes, and there's free coffee and cake. And at the end, and we were kind of running out of money towards the end of our 3 months here. And we were like, oh, free coffee and cake? Okay, I'll go. So I go, and here is this guy, sermon reverend guy, spouting off all these things that the moment that my father had passed away, and I was sitting there and I was trying to come up with all the things that resonated in my heart that felt comfortable to me. I came up with what kind of some beliefs that I felt comfortable. So I just thought, I'm just making up my own religion here, whatever it is. I'm just feeling things that are comfortable. I get to this church for the free coffee and cake. Here's this guy spouting off all the things I thought I made up. Apparently they were already in existence, and I had no idea.
What was he preaching?
Right. So this was part of many churches. It's called the Center for Spiritual Living. Mm. And the first thing that I noticed right off the bat was there was a gay couple and there was a lesbian couple. And I was like, oh, wow, this is a cool church, because these guys wouldn't be allowed in some of the things that I saw over there.
Right.
Which is the big reason why I didn't want to do any religion, because I was like, well, why isn't everybody included? This is kind of stupid. So I noticed that there was, those couples there, and I was like, this is cool. Okay, I already like this. The guy who was talking had no shoes on, Hawaiian style.
Nice.
So, all right, okay, I like this art. I'm drinking my hot chocolate coffee and having my cake while I'm listening to whatever he's saying. And he's saying these things that are like, there, if you go back and you research like all the major religions, there's a lot of things they have in common. Like, we're all one. We're all connected.
Yeah.
That thing.
Like the
I
golden
never,
rule sort of thing too.
yeah, kind of thing. And I never heard anything like that because my parents never went to church because their parents made them go to church, and it was crappy, experiences for them. They didn't resonate with going to all that. But so
Right.
they were like, F church, never gonna go. So I really didn't know anything about religion or whatever. So here's this guy spouting off all these things I thought I made up. And I was like, what the heck? So then I was kind of hooked a little bit, like, all right, so maybe I'll come a couple more times and see what the heck this guy's saying. And I was shocked. I was blown away that all this stuff was already in existence. Things like we co-create our reality, right? And now we know that ions, the Institute of Noetic Science, has proven with science that we co-create our own reality. And they've done all these experiments with particles and stuff like that. So, this was 15 years ago or so, 16 years ago, and when I first got here, and now it's all been proven. So I've been practicing this stuff for that long and going, wow, now it's proven. So then the people were like, let's do some songs, and we're going to jam, and we're going to sing songs about being connected and all being one. And I was like, all right, music, heck yeah, right? So I'm doing music with them, and then a couple weeks go by, and I'm going to this church, and I go, hey, I know a good song that would be good. I don't remember what it was now, but I was like, it's in sheet music form because I could read music and play piano and, play parts for people to learn. So I was like, let's get together. Who wants to do this? And so I started getting together. And then one guy goes, oh, you read music? Do you want to be our choir director? And I was like, I was so young, right? I was like, something 25 or 26 or 20, something like that.
Right.
And I was like, you need to be your director? All you guys are like in your 50s and 60s. Like, you guys should be directing me usually. And they were like, no, we don't read music, but you read music. Can you direct us? And I was like, okay. I was like,
and yeah, that's crazy.
so like nervous, but like, but I did have like, in the music requirement, you're supposed to take conducting class for a year. So I conducted a choir, and I did a conducting for a mini little orchestra.
Whoa.
So I did have the experience, and
Right.
I could write music, I could transpose music, I could transcribe music, I could do all these things technical wise, and I knew the harmonies, all the theory behind that. So I was thinking to myself, well, I technically know all the stuff I need to know. So I said yes, and that was like a 5-year journey of me learning how to rehearse a group of people with aloha.
Right.
But still be driven enough to get results and get them sounding good. And I had people in my chorus who haven't, they were 67 years old. They hadn't sung since high school. And I had people in my band who used to be famous in bands in the 70s. And he was like, I'm not going to tell you what name of the band I was in. But anyway, he was in the Turtles.
Oh,
and and he played with all these big people back in the 70s. He played with, I can't remember, like Crosby, Nash and Young. He like played with these guys and played with all these people. So I've got this guy who used to be famous in my chorus and people who haven't sung since high school. So I was trying to find ways to mesh it all together. And I figured out if I sang the melody with the people who needed help, then all the really experienced people could just take over the harmonies and blow my mind even out of the water. And we together, we sounded really good. And we attracted a lot of people to that church because of the music. And I got a lot of experience. And at that time I was pregnant and having my babies who, I had 2 baby girls. And so it was easy for me to do, I wasn't doing any other music but that music was forcing me to, perform every week 2 songs, rehearse this group of people, think ahead about the music and do all this stuff. And so, and then of course, after I had my babies, I was holding my baby with one arm and directing the chorus and the backup band with the other hand. And so I could really multitask and figure it all out. And so it was really a lot of experience for me, a lot of hands-on that I really didn't know what I was learning and the value of it until afterwards. And I realized after 5 years of doing that I was like, I have to step down now because I see that I need to go forward in music and I can't do this anymore. Like I have to let this. But I had built up this chorus and somebody else had taken it over and there's still a chorus today. I still go to that church once in a while today. And that guy who was the original guy who was standing up and saying all these things I thought I made up, his name was Reverend Tag. And I'm still super close to him. And any night I could just message him and be like, hey, I need a quick prayer, or I need a quick like mind treatment, or like a quick meditation, and he would be there for me. So I just love him so much.
Wow. So it was almost like an instant connection through the church.
Totally.
And you had a completely different impression on it originally.
Totally.
But then it's obviously not your typical, your standard church and whatnot.
Yeah.
Well, I was going to say, did you use any James Taylor's methods with your own choir?
I did a little less so because he was so intense, and like mainland, people from continental America, they're like whoosh, kind of
right.
Way of directing usually, and so I tried that approach initially, and I realized that I was like, man, these are people that are coming together for fun. Like they're not coming together for a grade, or to get paid. So I can't just be like, here's the sheet of music, learn it and memorize. This is what my choir teacher would do in high school. Here's a sheet of music. It's a German aria. You have to learn it and memorize it and come back in 2 days. You'll be tested in quartets and the grade will be A or F.
What? Pass or fail? Jeez. Okay. So I could see how you'd be a little more laid back.
So that was my high school experience, not even college. That was my high school experience. Was I was like, holy crap, like this is super intense, but I thrived on it. So in Hawaii, you gotta be a little more laid back. Often, many of us would all come to rehearsal. None of us wore a watch or had a cell phone. None of us knew what time it was. So we just had to go. We were like, okay, we're nowhere here from roughly an hour and a half. None of us don't know what time it is. It was so funny. And so I learned that I had to bring in songs that some people kind of already was familiar with, and then we could arrange a song, like maybe we all could sing harmonies on the chorus, and then maybe we could divide up the verses into solos, like maybe everybody take 2 lines of each verse and have their own little solo. And that was like magic for me, because then there was not as much rehearsing as we had to do to get every single note all together, it's sounding good. And everybody loved the solo parts, because then they could express themselves however they wanted in that solo. And it was just this big, so it wasn't like a whole song solo, it was just 2 lines. So people like thrived on it. They felt comfortable, because these weren't like super musicians that I had in chorus all the time. They wanted to like build their confidence up, so it was perfect for confidence builders, these little micro solos, up until I like cried the day that one of my ladies who like could almost barely sing when she first got to me, and 5 years later she was singing Bali High, this aria from South Pacific, which is, it's a high, it's got some high notes there, and she was singing such grace and ease that I was just like, oh my god, this lady has learned to sing. Oh my goodness, it was like such a proud choir director for me.
That's crazy. Whoa, so they completely like embraced you, and it was all revolved around because you could read well, but still, you did have a lot of experience, even though you were probably one of the youngest members, or the youngest member.
Totally, like the youngest person in church and the one in charge of.
She knows. That's crazy. I mean, that's some pressure, but I mean, obviously, it was probably, like you said, a little more laid back. So maybe they, compared to what they had, they didn't have anything prior. So they're just like, we're just up here singing. We don't know if we're in tune or anything. So give us a hand here.
Yeah. So it was difficult. But again, I thrived on the challenge of things. So
do you have any
and then,
sorry, what did you say?
What were you gonna say?
Did you have like a favorite number, like, or maybe the one you said the old lady was singing, or?
Well, we did a lot of songs, but I want to say probably my favorite was um, it was a really difficult piece, and it was for a chorus where there was like I think there was 8 parts. So normally in a choir there's 4 parts, right? Soprano, tenor, alto, bass. But in this piece, I did it. At one point, I was in an audition chorus called Kanilehua Chorale, and you had to like sight read and really know music to get into this chorus. And so we did this one piece called O Manu Mysterium. It was in French, and it was by a composer, conductor, arranger, I think it was all 3, called Morten Lauritsen. And he's famous for the 5 Lauritsen pieces that are all about flowers.
Cool.
And these are like super famous pieces that a lot of classical choruses do. And it was very difficult. But for me, knowing that I had a chorus that almost couldn't cut it, I did my own arrangement of it because I like to take songs and arrange them to where, make something different. So I took out some of the really hard parts and I simplified some things. But we did this piece and we blew the socks out of the water, even on myself, on our own chorus. And I specifically called in a few people that I knew that, a few extra singers that I knew could sing really well, but weren't normally in my chorus. And I was like, we're doing this piece. I think we did it for Easter or for Christmas or whatever. I was like, it's a really difficult piece. Can you help? And so I had some people come in, but everybody loved it. They thrived off the challenge of it. They loved the beauty of the piece. It was just beautiful. It was one of those. Yeah. I was like, we need to like sing this in like in a place with amazing acoustics, like one of those amphitheaters. So it was probably the highlight because it was the most hardest piece. And everybody that I worked with remembers that piece and they remember working their ass off on it.
That's awesome.
I remember like what an amazing experience it was.
Well, so what were the other 8 parts? Was it just harmonizing different harmonic or no?
Yes. So you have like your 4 parts that kind of go along in a melody, and then you have other 4 parts on top of that are in separate melody, what they sometimes call a descant. So like a melody over that, or sometimes just extra harmonies. So you get these amazing cluster chords that are just juicy on your earbuds. There was so many notes.
Were those any of the things you simplified, or did you keep all 8?
I simplified a lot of those, but there were some people that could do extra notes and could just take a harmony part completely on their own. They didn't need anybody else to sing with. There was just such a strong singer. So those people were the ones that I was like, okay, you take that note by yourself. You take that note by yourself. And so we like would simplify, but then when we got to like maybe a finale ending chord or like a super part, then we would do those notes. And that's how I simplified. Like I'd be like, let's simple until we get to these climactic moments, and we'll pick and choose which moments that we embellish.
That's cool. That's like producer style. Arranger, producer. Yeah. Okay.
I do produce music and stuff too when I get into the studio. So that was just
this all precursor.
Yeah. It just really launched me off into this like next thing. And after that I was like a freelance harmony singer because I didn't have confidence to write and perform my own music yet. And so I was in all kinds of bands. I was even in an Elvis impersonator band at one point.
Doing the backup? That's cool. Hell yeah.
Yeah.
Well, he's got the Hawaiian whatever.
Totally. I was in all kinds of bands. I was in a quartet, and I really thrived off the quartet. And then when I was in that quartet, I was almost like, this is almost it. Like you can almost feel like the chemistry and the like, we were getting really good and we were singing together for about a year. And then I watched the show, which is off air now, but it's called The Sing Off. And it was like The Voice and like, America's Got Talent, but it was for a cappella choirs.
Okay. Before they really blew up, recently.
Right. And so the group that won that competition was just a 5-piece group. They all sang their own parts, and they were called Pentatonics. So if
Pentatonic
you haven't
scale.
heard this, freaking phenomenal. One of my favorite things about them is they take pop music and they always make up their own arrangements, and they are badass arrangers. And so,
Is that like they use the pentatonic scale more? Is that like
I
or
don't think
no?
they use scale more. They just were 5 people, so they call themselves
Oh, I see
pentatonics.
what you're saying. Okay,
But
gotcha.
they had this badass beatboxer that could, like, amazing beatboxer. This bass singer that could sing lower than like any other bass singer that I've heard. They
Right
just were
on.
really freaking phenomenal. And when I saw that show, I looked at my own quartet and I went, wow, this quartet, the capabilities of this quartet, they all have like day jobs, and like, they're not as passionate about music as I am. And I'm going to need to be with people that are on this level to get to the level that I want to be. So I left the quartet, and it was a hard decision for me because I really loved the people in the quartet. And so it was hard, but I knew inside that I needed to leave them and do some other things. And so after that, I started really writing my own music. I had been dinking around on the ukulele. I already played guitar. I already played piano. And so I started playing the ukulele simply because it was so small and easy to play and so transportable. I could take this thing on tour. After that tour that you first met me on, and I had that piano player, a little inside thing was that piano player got in a car accident, and I carried around her giant piano the entire tour for 3 weeks, and she carried my little tiny ukulele. And after carrying her piano around for 3 weeks, I was like, I'm never taking a piano on tour. And because it's so much, it's too heavy, it's too much shipping, and blah blah blah. So I started
Right.
playing ukulele more and more, and started doing more and more gigs. And at the farmers market, I talked to the management and I said, I really want to play the farmers market. You guys don't have any music here. Can I volunteer to book the music here in Hilo? And they were like, yeah, totally. So I started volunteering my time. It wasn't too long. They started paying me to just book people there. And they loved that there was music there all the time. But it was music for tips only for 4 hours straight. So
Yeah.
it was one of those
Hot
like,
sun.
yeah. So, but I loved it, and I really could rehearse every single song that I had,
Right.
and
Yeah, it gives you that chance. Yeah, it's like extra practice in a sense.
it was cool because like we could practice, but we could collect tips. And so when I finally got like a band together, it was a violinist, a djembe drummer, and Eric the bass player, and then myself on ukulele and vocals. And we did all the market gigs together. We would split the tips 4 ways, but we thought of it as practice at that point because we were just literally practicing. And we got the gig like once or twice a month. And just practice, 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 and collect tips while we practice. So it was awesome.
Oh yeah. Uh-oh. Frozen.
My current project right now, because as you know, it is sometimes difficult to find gigs for a whole band for us to really make a living.
Oh yeah.
And so I've launched sort of a soloistic career. And I've got one of those Boss RC 300 looper pedals. And I also have a bass effects pedal, so I can hook up my ukulele through this bass effects pedal, and I can click on the button with my foot and be playing bass. And I beatbox, so I like loop like a beatbox loop, and I make a bass riff, and then sometimes I loop my ukulele chords, and then I can solo over myself, and then I can sing over myself. And I usually I record live like harmonies, then I bring them back in and out. It's really fun to play with yourself on a looper pedal.
Oh yeah.
And to harmonize yourself, to stack all these harmonies.
I think I did catch one of your live videos like that. So this is pretty recent, right? The last year or so, or no? Not even.
Last year, I've been working with the looper pedal the last year, and over Christmas, I finally got the Boss RC 300. So I've been playing with that a bunch and just having fun, just creating new songs and creating new arrangements of covers and just playing. I'm just having so much fun.
Oh, yeah.
But
well, it's really limitless what you can do with it. Yeah.
yeah. And so when I have big gigs, then I play. Then I hire out the hire. I hire. Oh, I can talk right now. I hire a band in,
Okay.
And that's and a lot of the top players are really busy. So it just depends on who's available. That whoever is available for that gig, then I hire them. And also, I play with Hope Medford, formerly from the Medicine for the People band.
Right.
And she was their cajon and djembe player.
Mm-hmm.
And she has had her own music career launched probably for at least 5 years, maybe more. And she puts on a music festival here called Monofest, and it features all women and in support of the rising of the divine feminine. And I love playing with her. And we had a tour that we were going to go on this summer, and everything got canceled and postponed. So we decided to just sit back on the Big Island and still writing songs and still practicing together. We just recently filmed a live music video from Hilo Palace. There's a whole series that they're doing called Live from the Empty Palace in Hilo, Hawaii. And they haven't video. It's got to be edited still. Okay. But we did look for original songs, and so that's going to be us. That's like the most recent thing we've done. Her and I have been doing online festivals like Goddess Fest. What was the other one? I don't remember the other name, but it was for a fundraiser for the Diné tribe in the Grand Canyon. So shout out to the Diné tribe. They've had a lot of loss of their elders and ceremony holders from COVID-19. So holding them in space and prayer, holding all of humanity really in space and prayer. So that's some of the most recent things I've done. I did play. There are some restaurants opening up here and some performance spots. And so just last Saturday, I played for the Hilo Burger Joint, which is a great place for awesome musicians to come and play. And I'm like the only one that does looping there. Looping is kind of a new thing here still. It's not, they're very traditional here. And Hawaiian music is very traditional, very live, and very full of harmonies. And Hawaiian musicians are amazing. Hawaiian singers are amazing. So much music culture.
Yeah. It's mostly acoustic, right? Like traditional? Yeah, like the
acoustic, yep.
They do acoustic guitar. Well, they do the slide guitar style.
Yep, they have
a whole other style of slide guitar.
Yeah.
I have Oahu. I'm not pronouncing Oahu guitar, slide guitar.
Oahu.
Is that right? Yeah. It's supposed to be like 100 years or something, but don't school.
Oh wow, 100-year-old.
As a high, you can only play it with a slide, like as a high action. You lay it down.
Yeah. Yep, you can only play it with a slide. They're called steel players, or what do you call it? Pedal steels. They're called pedal players. So yeah. So Hawaiian music is very acoustic, and so for me to loop and have more harmonies, it often gets a lot of strange looks because people are looking for the rest of the band, or they're wondering where'd the bass just come from, or sometimes people walk in and they see me singing with a completed live track, and they go, "Oh, you sing karaoke?" I'm like, "No, I just live looped all of this." Just wait for the song. So I'm like the modern musician that plays there.
That's cool. Well, so still with a traditional vibe in a sense, or
yeah,
your own spin on it and whatnot.
Yeah.
Cool. Well, and I would assume there, obviously, everywhere can have outdoor eating and whatnot, so it's maybe slightly easier to do it right. That's the only place I'm playing. Like, it's anywhere that has outdoor options, basically. So.
Yeah.
But
yeah.
Great.
Yeah, we do what we can, and we're just trying to get through this all with grace, love, and aloha best we can, right?
Or like you said, you occupying your time with on the land, and I'm sure that can inspire to write some new songs and whatnot. Or
Yep. All my gardens love to hear me singing to them.
right.
They grow faster.
And both your daughters sing, right? Like you've kind of passed that on to them. Yeah, I think
They do.
yeah.
Ever since they were little, I would be bribing them with, at first, chocolate to sing on stage with me. And then they got a little older, and then I would bribe them with like a couple bucks. And now it's up to like $5 or $10 each daughter for each concert. And but I'm trying to instill in them that this is a way for our family to make money. Like if you girls want to sing, because now they're learning about babysitting. They've been babysitting for money, and one of them loves babysitting, and one of them does not like babysitting. And so I'm like trying to be like, if you sing, that's another way of being able to bring an income for the ohana, and especially if we all sing together, we can all do harmonies, and we've been working on harmonies for a while, and so they're really kind of starting to get it, and they still slip back into my melody once in a while, but they're working on it.
Family band.
So yeah, and then my partner in life is the sound person and videographer for us.
Right on.
And
Who does the
of
editing?
course,
Whatnot?
I do a lot of the editing, but he will
He's
film things. Yeah, and then he'll often be the one person who's live streaming us for whatever social media. Sometimes multiple social medias at the same time, and
right.
so that's like his department. So it's nice that, and he loves music so much that he loves to be in the musical scene, and so it's nice that we can all get out and be together doing what we love. So I'm hoping that as my daughters grow older, that they still want to be in their mom's band,
Right.
and I would back up them when they're ready.
Yeah, I was gonna say that's exactly what's gonna happen. Like, no, you gotta back up us. We need to be singing the lead here. How old are they now? They're getting up there.
Just turned 13 and about to turn 12.
Well, good luck to you.
So I know, right? They play ukulele, piano, and recorder, and they drum, and they can sing. So
That is awesome. Well, it's cool you keep it within the family, especially say your partner does his thing. So you guys are like a unit, a family unit that can work together.
yeah,
And especially,
yeah,
even if it's not your main gig, it's always something you can fall back on or do on the
exactly.
weekends or whatever, Go do your 40
Yeah.
hours and get a break playing music.
And for my main gig, I teach voice lessons and I direct women's choruses for the last several years. And choruses, they pay me to they pay to be in the group. They audition and then they pay to be in the group. So that's like a nice main gig. That so it's still music for me. I've got a lot of people now, especially a lot of men, going, "When are you going to do a mixed chorus?" So I was about to launch a mixed chorus, like a family chorus for men, women, and children, and then launch also a chorus just for children, because I've gotten a lot of requests over the years for both. People like my style, that I'm driven with aloha. So they all chorus, and then we just have a lot of fun together. I try to make it be a lot about fun, and we do songs that are not too hard. And we usually pick one or two hard songs for a challenge, but then pick some medium hards and a lot of easy songs. And we do a lot of creative improv as a group also, which it gets really interesting. Yeah, it's really fun, and they love it. They love taking turns like soloing on top of what's we create, like this layer, so almost like a Bobby McFerrin inspired style of like all these little like layers of little sounds and harmonies and effects kinds of things, and then somebody like solos on the top of that. And sometimes we have somebody who solos in the high range and somebody who solos in the low range, so they're soloing together on top of all these layers. It gets really cool sounding.
Cool. Can we is there video or a place we can find these things?
There are some videos I have yet to edit. There are some. I think there are some more we used to have a Facebook page, but we took it off and we wanted to do something different. But there will be some more stuff soon. And on my personal website, tianamalonejennings.com, I'm working on a link to the chorus stuff and working on videos to put there. So there might be some now, but there needs to be some more updated videos. The chorus, it started with like just 4 women. And now I left with like, when COVID shut us down, we had 16 women.
Nice.
And then we had more that were like wanting to join, but it takes a commitment. I usually do it for 3 months and then I take a break. And so that gives people a break, you know, and it really, it gives way to people can focus really hard and give a lot of energy for 3 months and then we're done. And then, so I usually do it twice a year, fall and winter.
Okay. That's cool. Well, and then, yeah, I was going to say, like, this takes a while to edit, so maybe by the time this is out, you might have some more of that stuff. It'd be cool to incorporate it into one of the clips, what have you.
Yeah.
But,
yeah, thank you so much.
It's something that you don't get to hear, you know, like, I don't know any other choir directors, so. Who also plays original music and does her own thing. New pedals. Well, there's videos of that, but then you'll probably have this music video out in the near future, I would imagine.
I do. I'm editing one where I brought in several people to like be a chorus for me to back up one of my own songs that I wrote. And so I just did that one time and it was so magical that I was like, oh my God, I have to write more songs and record them like with my own chorus, singing my chorus parts to my own songs that I wrote in like epic harmonies. There's so much in the future that's going to be epic.
Yeah, I'm looking forward. Yeah, let me know when any of this stuff is uploaded. Basically anything on YouTube I can get or whatever.
Okay.
So that would be awesome. But yeah, is there anything else you want to put it into the universe or the ether?
I just want to give thanks to my family and friends and my spiritual guide ancestors for just having me supported in this musical journey. And I want to give thanks to everybody out there that go to live music shows and support musicians on all levels, and the people who purchase music online, for especially like all the underground artists out there. Music is medicine, and I just give thanks for everybody offering their musical medicine to the world right now. The world needs it, and I'm open to receiving musical medicine. And I just give great thanks for it. I know it's kind of crazy times, but I give thanks for the times that we're living in right now, because what awakening we're going through as a whole humanity. You know, like there's a lot of veils being lifted. There's a lot of light coming into this world on places that there was darkness before. And as a musician and touring almost every year since 2013, I think was my very first one on the mainland, just seeing humanity grow, because there was places I went where, you know, humanity was a little low vibrational. Like there was a bar fight that broke out in front of the stage one time when I was playing. Yeah. And then coming back time after time to these places and seeing the same places where the people just have a lighter vibration to them now. They're just, the energy is lighter and different and higher. So I just give thanks to everybody doing the work out there you got to do for yourself to bring up the connected whole. And thank you to the musicians and thank you to all the musicians that came before us and for all their journeys and struggles. So thank you so much, Jacob, for having me here today.
Yeah, thank you. I appreciate you being on, and especially ending with such a positive statement. And yeah, I think people really are hungry for music right now, and we all need it. And I think it's something we all can kind of relate to in a healing process, even if people don't realize it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But, you know, who knows what the future holds. Hopefully, only keep the hope alive.
Prayers for that.
And, yeah, I think a lot of people, it's a self-reflection time. So hopefully, like you said, the island forces the skeletons out of your closet. Maybe right now, a lot of people are things are coming out that they didn't realize. Well, and how many
Yeah.
people right now are just in how long are getting a break from that 40-hour thing they've been doing for how long? And then now they're like, I don't know what to do with myself. You know what I'm saying? And it's like, I
Totally.
don't, like maybe we've lived more of a lifestyle. We're like, well, I tried to be a recluse. Like, I don't know what you're talking about. But, or I always try to go back and forth, like take a break, go be with the masses, and then, But now it also kind of makes you realize now, like, how much you miss it sometimes. Like, who knows what the option will be? But
I know.
stay
I
positive.
know.
The music will only help that. But yeah,
Yeah.
get you being on. Sorry for the slight technical difficulties, but we made it
No
through.
worries.
And
We
yeah,
did.
I'll keep you posted when this comes out. I really got to catch up on editing myself. So I got way ahead on filming and way behind on editing. So you might know how that goes. But,
I know how that goes.
like, oh yeah, I could do this. I could put out one a week. No, you can't. But I appreciate it. Appreciate you. Yeah. Thanks
Thank
for
you so much, Jacob. I appreciate you and everything you do. Thank you so much, Allegra, for letting us use your Zoom. And air hugs to you. And I hope to catch you later.
Yeah, hopefully in the near future things will be somewhat normal. Who knows?
Maybe we might jam together in the future. Who knows?
I'd love to come out there. All in good time, But traveling,
Yeah.
it just seems crazy.
Yes, maybe not at the moment, but someday soon, hopefully.
Stay healthy. Keep this strong immune system that can fight anything. I really
Yeah.
stay in touch with the land. But all right, good seeing you.
Well, aloha. Much love and aloha.
Thanks again. Peace. Thank you.